Yes, MC, Shalin?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, you will begin now.
Okay. We know what we are, but not know what we may be. So, what makes us who we are is a graduation and career lessons from COVID-19. I get up every morning and it's going to be a great day. With this motivational quote, I wish a vibrant morning to one and all gathered here. I'm glad to welcome our resource person, Professor Stephen Deepak, Vice President of the Institution Innovation Council and mentor at Kristu Jayanthi College, Bangalore. A very warm welcome to you, sir. Prayer is the most important conversation of a day. Take it to God before you take it to anyone else. I call upon Angel Christina of 3rd BA English to drench us all in the essence of God for a blessed start.
Light of the world, you step down into darkness. Open my eyes, let me see beauty that made this heart adore you. Hope of a life spent with you. Here I am to worship, here I am to bow down, here I am to say that you're my God. You're altogether lovely, altogether worthy, altogether wonderful to me. King of all days, so highly exalted, glorious in heaven above. Humbly you came to the earth you created, all for love's sake became poor. Here I am to worship, here I am to bow down, here I am to say that you're my God. You're altogether lovely, altogether worthy, altogether wonderful to me. Here I am to worship, here I am to bow down, here I am to say that you're my God. You're altogether lovely, altogether worthy, altogether wonderful to me.
Thank you, Angel, for leading us into God's presence with your mesmerizing voice. Small cheer and a great welcome makes a merry feast. I invite Mrs. Kanimoli, Assistant Professor, Department of English, Aided, to spread some sparkle with a gracious welcome.
Kanimam, unmute your mic, Kanimam.
A very good morning to one and all present here. Today, as we all have connected virtually for an orientation program, I, on behalf of the Student Affairs Committee, take immense pleasure in welcoming each one of you. I feel very positive and happy today amidst these testing times about the happening of this program, as it can boost up our energies and ease up the grim situation which has surrounded us. Without much delay, let me introduce our chief guest, Professor Stephen Deepak from the School of Management, Kristu Jayanthi College, Bangalore. Sir is a graduate of Personal Management and Industrial Relations from St. Joseph's College of Arts and Science, Bangalore. He has an MBA in Marketing from the University of Madras. He has a postgraduate diploma in Marketing and Advertising. Prior to taking up his teaching career, he has worked at different capacities in the field of sales and marketing. He has shared his expertise as a teacher in various institutions such as Mount Carmel Institute of Management, ICFAI University, IGNOU Symbiosis University. Currently, he works as a faculty at the School of Management, Kristu Jayanthi College, Bangalore. He is a certified entrepreneurship course educator from IIM Bangalore and Stanford University Ventures program and has 18 years of teaching experience. He has guided and mentored more than 500 students to develop innovative ideas and write successful business plans. He has played a key role in winning the e-week competition organized by the National Entrepreneurship Network for 3 consecutive years. Currently, he is the Vice President of the Institution Innovation Council and mentor at Kristu Jayanthi Incubation Center. He has published papers in leading journals and presented some of his works in national and international conferences. He is an expert in conducting training programs, especially for students. It is such a great pleasure to welcome such a noted personality as our chief guest today. A warm welcome to you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Welcome, sir. With a delightful heart, I extend a genial welcome to our secretary, Reverend Sister Ruby Alankara Mary. Sister's motivation and relative amicable work culture is always an inspiration to us. A warm welcome to you, sister. I am deeply honored to welcome our principal, Reverend Sister Dr. Helen. Sister's valuable suggestions and words of concern have always made us feel loved and noted. We owe all our success to her guidance and support. A hearty welcome to you, sister. A special note of welcome to our respected Vice Principal, Reverend Sister Dr. Mary Fabiola. Sister is greatly admired for her involvement and hard work in whatever task she takes. She is a storehouse of energy, and that energy she illuminates to the people around her. I welcome Sister with all happiness. A convivial welcome to our Controller of Examination, Reverend Sister Imelda Mary, Dean of Academics, Mrs. Fulencia Kamal, Dean of Student Affairs, Dr. Mary, IQAC Coordinator, Dr. Pauline Vasanthi Joseph. Their support and love towards the Student Affairs Committee is highly valued. With great happiness, I welcome all of you. I offer a special welcome to the teachers of the NIRMALA family who are here to make this day a great success. Last but not the least, I extend a cheerful welcome to all my dear students who are an integral part of our institution. Once again, I welcome one and all to this program. Welcome.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving us a very pleasant reception. A true leader has the confidence to stand alone, the courage to make decisions, and the compassion to listen to the needs of others. He does not set out to be a leader, but he becomes one by the equality of his actions and the integrity in his intent. And now I invite one such dignitary, our resource person, Professor Stephen Deepak, mentor at Kristu Jayanthi College, Bangalore, to honor us with his presence. Over to you, sir. We all are here for your valuable words.
Thank you, Charlene. Thank you for that warm welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Right. Before I begin, let me thank the management of NIRMALA College, Coimbatore. I had this wonderful opportunity to visit your campus sometime in 2019, where I'd come in as a chief guest and I met all of you. So greetings to Reverend Dr. Sister Ruby, Reverend Dr. Sister Helen, Dr. Mary, Dr. Imelda, and to all my lovely, faculty friends and mentors, Fulencia ma'am, Dr. Mary, and to all the teachers who are helping us set up this interaction, and to all the lovely students who are here to listen eagerly to what I have to say and what is there in store that I want to show to you about the world outside. Right. So thanks for that warm welcome, and it's very similar to what we do here on campus. So very often we are on the other side organizing, and we have students who handle this. So it's so nice to see that students are playing a very integral role, both in being the master of ceremonies for the program and also rendering the invocation hymn. It's so nice to see all of you all getting involved in making this happen today. So thank you everybody. Once again, and on that note, I would want to go ahead with my presentation. So I will share my PowerPoint with you. So that helps right here. All right, please just confirm whether you are able to see my my full screen.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, you're able to see my PowerPoint. It's on a full screen.
Yes, sir.
All right, yeah. Okay, so that is the topic that I'm going to be, sharing with you today. I mean, it's an interaction that I want to have. So you can keep your questions, and since in this format it's a little difficult to have an interaction as I keep presenting, it'll always be better that you keep these questions and you can spend some time later, answering these questions. Okay, graduate preparedness and career lessons from COVID-19. So what do I have in store as a presentation content for you? First of all, I want you to understand the different phases and the forces of change that the world is going through. The world of work today is going through 4 phases. So we're going to be looking at the various phases and the forces that are shaping the business environment. Second aspect of the presentation will take you through the cascading effect on industry and organizations. So how are these macro environmental forces that we see in the business environment? What sort of a cascading effect do they have on the industry and on the organizations, irrespective of the organizations that we are going to be working in? Third, if industry and organization gets affected, automatically workforce gets affected, jobs and employability gets affected. So I'm going to take you to the third part of my presentation. It's going to talk about what sort of an effect this cascading influence is going to have on the workforce, jobs, and employability. The fourth aspect of the presentation is a shift in the work scenario. So because we are already into the fourth industrial revolution. Very popularly, we call this as the Industrial Revolution 4.0. What is the work scenario and how it is changing is a narrative that I want to take you in the fourth part of my presentation. In the fifth part, we are adding a new dimension. Earlier in all these presentations that I've made, where I've been speaking about the future of work, and I've been talking about how we need to be proactively prepared for all the changes that are going to come in the business environment, in the industry, I never thought of another dimension called the COVID-19. The pandemic has been another dimension that we're all, uncertainly grappling with in the last 2 years. So how is COVID come and changed the dynamics of an existing scenario that we were all, getting prepared for? So shift in the work scenario in and the post-COVID-19 is a new part to the presentation that I want to bring in. Then graduate preparedness. We're coming to the topic, which is what is the takeaway for you? So what is the kind of preparedness that is expected? What career lessons can you learn from all of these changes that are taking place due to the cascading effect and COVID-19, the pandemic that has put you into a certain uncertain situation today? And then finally, we're going to be looking at the skills. What are the skills that you need to hone? What are the skills that you are supposed to upskill and reskill? And what are the skills that you are supposed to be newly learning so that you present yourself as a very competitive candidate, not just before the organization, but also before that changing world that we have in front. So that is where I'm going to take you through these different phases of the presentation. So which is like an entire epic story, which is going to unravel before you a whole lot of scenario that is possibly going to help you make some very good career decisions when you're ready to take that decision in the future. So what are the forces of revolution that we are in? So before we understand how today's organization and how the dynamics of the organization today is changing or has changed, right? We need to understand the 4 phases of the revolutionary transition. The first industrial revolution, something that began in around 1890s is where we are looking at 1890. to almost around 1920. The first industrial revolution was powered by mechanization, water, steam power and engines, and then that is where we also started producing electricity, and electricity started running factories for us. The second revolution came in post the 1920. That is when factories were set up and massive manufacturing began. Assembly line manufacturing became the order of the day. And factories brought in a whole lot of people, and then electricity was extensively used to manufacture goods. Division of labor, specialization, and mechanization, all of this brought in the modern factory system in around the 1920s, and something that went up until around 1940s to 50s. The third industrial revolution was brought in by computers and automation. So that is that computer or the internet era or the World Wide Web era that we're talking about, something that began in the late 70s and that still is sweeping the kind of changes that we are seeing in today's world. So rampantly seen between 1970 to seen until around 2010 is where we were looking at the third industrial revolution, where computers, automation, and internet, really held center stage. The fourth industrial revolution is slightly different, which is an extension of the third industrial revolution along with computers and internet. We're talking about cyber physical systems. If today you are hearing business jargons like big data or cloud computing, or you're talking about IoT, or we're talking about artificial intelligence, or we're talking about robotic engineering, or we're talking about blockchain, if all of these are new terminologies and jargons, which we're trying to grapple and understand how each of this is trying to create a certain influence and impact, over businesses today. So that's where we are today, operating in that fourth industrial revolution, which is called the cyber physical system, or very popularly called Industrial Revolution 4.0. So the 4.0 brings in with it a certain huge dynamics, which is an interface between man and machine. Human beings and machines are going to interface, and it's going to create a work order which is slightly very different than what we have seen in these earlier years. So that is going to be the base on which the entire dynamics of change that we're going to see, which is going to affect the future of work, is going to happen. What are the huge transforming phases? Right?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, it's in first slide only, sir. PPT.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes. It's not in the slideshow, sir.
Yeah. Now.
No, sir.
Is it in the second slide?
No, sir. No, sir. It's in first only, sir.
First. How do I transition that? 1 second, ma'am. Let me. I thought it was moving. Yeah. Okay. Just a second. Just a second, ma'am. Yeah. Now is it moving?
No, sir. No, sir.
Got stuck there. Yeah. Just a sec.
Yeah, it's in second, sir.
Okay. Now.
But it's not in the slideshow, sir.
Yeah. Now.
No, sir.
It's in the same. Is it moving now?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay. How do I do that? Just a second, ma'am. I'll just stop sharing. You can help me with this.
Okay, sir.
Okay. I'm going to the share. Share screen, and I'm going to Windows.
Yes,
and
sir.
I have the PowerPoint with me. I'm going to share that, and then I put it on slideshow. Okay. Now, is it moving, ma'am? Now can you see?
No, sir. I think it's in the PPT slide only, sir, not in the slideshow window.
Okay, but how do I do that? Just help me with that, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I can see that screen of yours.
You have to share that window, sir. Slideshow window.
Okay. How do I do that? This one. This one, is it? And now you can see it, but it's not in slideshow, is what you're saying.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, after slideshow, you can share the window, sir.
Okay, after slideshow, I share the window. Okay, like that, what you're saying.
Yes, sir.
Now also you can't see it, right?
No, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now also you can see. After slideshow window, you can share the screen, sir.
Yeah, I do that now.
Okay, sir.
Because once I put it on slideshow, I'm unable to see the YouTube.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, okay. How do I do that, ma'am? Just could you tell me on that?
Sir.
If I put it
I
on
think
slideshow,
if we press the button escape, the slideshow also
yeah, it's
gone.
escaping, correct.
Yes,
Correct.
yes.
Now you can't see, right? It's not moving.
No, sir.
Okay. The moment I escape, what happens is the whole thing is going back to the.
Yes, sir.
So how do I do that? Well, I thought it was moving. Okay.
Okay.
How do I do that, ma'am? I mean,
So can you share that screen with that, sir? PPT with that, sir?
with which one, ma'am? With you?
Your PPT, sir.
Yeah. Where do I share it, ma'am?
Uh, so for dean.ca.nirmala@gmail.com, can you share with that, sir?
I'll share it with on the WhatsApp.
WhatsApp or yeah, my Mary ma'am WhatsApp, sir.
Yeah, Mary ma'am's WhatsApp. Okay, I'll do that.
Okay.
But if you can tell me what is that command that I can use so that I am able to disable that screen below and I'm able to see
Uh,
that. Sure. Just forgot that command. Okay, ma'am. Yeah, I'll just share that with me.
okay, sir.
But every time I'll have to keep telling no next slide. Just a sec, ma'am. Ma'am, I've sent it. It's on Mary ma'am's WhatsApp.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Ma'am, did you get the PPT, ma'am?
Sir, yes, sir. Yes, sir. 1 second, sir.
Okay, okay, ma'am. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Slideshow ஆயிடுச்சா? Sir? Sir?
I'm here. Yes.
Yes, sir. Sorry for the inconvenience, sir.
No. Yeah, even I can realize this. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
You can put it on slideshow, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. I'll start the moment it goes on slideshow, ma'am.
Sir, now it's in the full screen, sir.
Yeah. So I just found the trick right now. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
1 second, ma'am. Just a second. Yeah, my audio and video. I just wanted to check that. I'm sorry. Yeah. 1 second, ma'am. Yeah, I'll do that. How much time do I have, ma'am? I mean, we already spent some time. Till what time am I allowed?
1 second, sir. Sir, you can have time, sir.
Oh, okay, ma'am. Yeah.
Okay.
Sure, I'll do that, ma'am. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Now you're able to see my screen, right? Yeah. Ma'am, is the screen visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Is it moving, right? Is it moving?
Yes,
now?
sir. Yes, sir.
Is it moving now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, ma'am. Great. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right. Really sorry for that interruption. That was a technical snag. Well, when we're looking at what kind of changes, some of these are uncertainties or some sort of in the real moment kind of difficulties that we might have to face when we're looking at the work in the organization. So what I was just briefing before, before my slides could get stuck, I wanted to bring before you the kind of forces of change that naturally is taking place in this world. And then I wanted to explain to you how these forces of change that we are seeing in the business environment, how it is going to affect the industry and the organization. And the third, when industry and organization gets affected, how workforce, jobs, and employability, right? The demand and the supply for labor is going to get affected. The fourth aspect, I wanted to bring in a shift in the workplace scenario because of COVID-19. COVID-19 was something that all of us were caught unawares. We were not prepared. Nobody ever heard of something of that. We knew about epidemics, but we never knew of a pandemic. So the way COVID-19 has, did really, hit and caught all of us unawares and really put us out of, absolute normal. So how the workplace has changed because of COVID-19 and what is expected of us in those kind of organizations is what I will be talking about. Then most importantly, which is, focusing, keeping y'all as the audience in focus today. What is the kind of preparedness that is expected from you? So when you go through your lessons and you go through your courses in the college, so what sort of preparedness and what sort of career lessons that you have to learn if you have to go and work in these organizations that have changed because of COVID-19 and also in these organizations which are also getting affected by the Industrial Revolution 4.0. And then finally, I'm going to give to you the various skills that you need to start thinking and working and honing so that you are able to be rightly positioned in those kind of changed job scenarios that will occur in course of years. So for that, we need to understand what is happening. We are in the fourth industrial revolution. So the first industrial revolution, as I just said, began with mechanization, steam power, and then a whole lot of invention happening around that time. So that is from 1890s to around 1920s, where we are talking about 1920 to 1930s, where mechanization, small machinery, and trying to use tools to help the production process started coming out during that particular period. From 1900s onwards is where the factory owners started thinking about a modern factory where employees and resources could be brought to one particular place, where we could use mechanization, where assembly line manufacturing on the basis of division of labor, specialization, and breaking down of the whole task into doable parts. All of these kind of interesting management techniques were developed, and then where they were experimented during that particular phase. And that's the origin of the factory system that we even now see in today's world. The third industrial revolution was very, very interesting, because that is the advent of computers. From 1970s onwards, 70s, the latter part of the 70s is where we're talking about some big organizations like Microsoft or IBM, and companies like Apple also coming in and making some work during that particular space, using computer and internet technology to connect the world, using the World Wide Web, and trying to see how the whole supply chain can get interfaced through the use of computers and internet. The fourth industrial revolution that we are into, this current generation, is in Industrial Revolution 4.0. And 4.0 is characterized by technologies like artificial intelligence, blockchain, Bluetooth technology, robotics, IoT. So these are the jargons that companies today are hearing or doing, and there's a lot of work that is going on to ensure that all of these are going to be an integral part of organizations. So it's a human being and a machine interface with which we are going to be working in these organizations in the future. Along with what is happening in Industrial Revolution 4.0, there is a massive transformation that is taking place around the world, right? And we are all very much a part of these transformations. These, directly or indirectly, we are part of these transformation or macro changes that are taking place around the world, right? We've got to only become conscious of how these changes are slowly coming closer and closer to us, and how it is affecting our lives, and also the kind of choices that we make with our careers and the jobs that we're going to take up. The first massive change that's taking place around the world is a demographic shift, right? We call these as the demographic changes, which is mostly because of the population, the growth of population in certain countries, the deceleration of population in certain other countries, right? And then in India, we specifically talk about how we talk about a demographic dividend, which is precisely where we are looking at 50% of, more than 50% of India's population, which is below the age group of 50. So India is a very young country compared to a lot of economies in the West which have an aged population. They have a majority of people who are above the age of 50. India has a majority of population which is below the age of 50. So the advantage is that we are in a good position to go and take up work and then ensure that we grow our economy. Along with that, we have 5 generations of people coming and working together in organizations, right? From the baby boomers to Generation X, Generation Y, then we talk about the millennials, and we talk about Generation Z. So 5 generations of people are going to come and work, right? So that is what has happened in today's organization. So it's happening around the world, and that is impacting the way organizations are changing. Secondly, there's a lot of economic shift in global power. Initially, we had United States as one major power, and then we had France, and then we had UK and Japan in Asia, and then you had South Korea doing very well in some of these. So we had these very notable countries which were the economic powers. So all the economic power and growth was centered in these economies. But today, what is happening because of globalization? There is a massive shift in the movement. So all these economies have matured. Newer economies, emerging economies, right? Goldman Sachs in the year 2000 spoke about 5 major countries which are going to be the emerging economies that we need to watch out for. They coined an acronym called BRICS: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, right? So these were the countries that they said will be becoming the superpowers in coming years. And we all understand how China plays a very important role in the way economic power is administered around in the world. Thirdly, we're looking at growing urbanization. What was a village earlier slowly becomes a town very soon, and a town slowly becomes a city becomes a metro. right? The transformation which used to take, I mean, this movement which used to take almost about 30 to 40 years is now happening quite rapidly, and we're all witness to it. Some of the native places that many of you come from today have become so urbanized, right? And people have become so modern over there, and there are modern facilities that you find in your native. Your native village is no more a village. Your native village has now become a town, and it's actually become a city. So what does a city do? The city brings in a whole lot of transformation in terms of consumerism. So new companies come and then they start manufacturing goods and services. People over there get educated and then they take up new jobs. There's a whole lifestyle change that brings about a change in those places. And that's what is happening. You know, today we talk about in India, we don't just talk about the metro. We talk about tier 1 cities, we talk about tier 2 cities, we are talking about tier 3 cities, which are adding up to the growth of the economy. Fourth important aspect that we all need to keep in mind is how climate change is slowly affecting the world. Right? We talk about greenhouse effect. We talk about the environment depletion, the resources becoming very, very scarce. Right? So all of that is having an impact. And today, industry and organizations have to think about how we can handle this and make sure that the planet does not get completely battered, and we make sure that we talk about sustainable solutions which will prolong what the resource usage over a period of time, so that we have something to hand over to the coming generation. So that is where companies today are trying to see how we can work and ensure sustainable solutions will give us long-lasting effects for both the ones who are in business as well as the ones who are consumers. Fifth of all, we're looking at technological breakthroughs, and that is where I wanted to bring in the Industrial Revolution 4.0. Technology is becoming a part of all our lives. Beginning with that smartphone that we're also very dependent on. Today, we're also dependent on various other technologies. We have apps that help us to do things. There are so many things that we do via the e-commerce. So technology has become an integral part. And there is no way you can take technology away from our lives. There is no way that you can take technology away from what organizations are doing. So remember these 5 major transformations that are taking place around the macro world. And that is having an effect over how the whole society is behaving, how industry is going to behave, and how organizations are changing according to the changes that are taking place in the macro environment. So when these drastic changes of the Industrial Revolution 4.0, as well as the transformation that is taking place around the world, right? So you just have to compare what the world of business was 20 years ago and what the world of business is today. You know, people who were born in the 80s and the 90s, when they compare it with life in the 2000 and the 10s that we talk about today, right? 2020s, there is a massive difference. They say, our times were quite different. We didn't have all of these things, but things have completely transformed. So what nearly took about 50 to 60 years to bring about a transition is now quite rapidly happening. And that is where we are today in a world that is characterized by the VUCA forces. The world today is volatile, which means there are rapid and unexpected changes that are taking place. We are in an uncertain world. What is known becomes unknown very soon because it gets outdated. What is unknown has to slowly become known, right? So we are grappling with uncertainty. So the COVID-19 pandemic itself has taught people lessons how to adjust to the uncertainty. And all of us spoke about one particular phrase called the new normal. So what was normal became outdated. What was absolutely abnormal became normal. And that is the reason that is how quickly all of us have adapted to modern day technologies. And this interaction, if it was 2019, I would have literally had to come to your campus to do this presentation, and I would have met all of you offline, interacted with you one-on-one or personally. But today the COVID-19 has created a situation, an uncertain situation, which has become an opportunity for us. Today we don't have to physically travel. We don't have to come and see each other face to face. We can still go ahead with what we are doing using technology and interconnecting, technologies like the YouTube, the Zoom, and other kind of platforms. C is characterized by complexity. Every aspect today in the world has become so complex. There is no unidimension aspect to anything for that matter. Like, I mean, even our own lives, when we have to take a decision is not just based on one particular factor. It's not based on one particular antecedent. There are multiple aspects that we've got to keep in mind. So that is complexity, because there are multiple factors that are affecting. We have to make decisions keeping the short-term perspective. We have to make decisions keeping the long-term perspective. We can on a knee-jerk basis, right? The A is characterized by ambiguity. There are too many unknowns. By the time you understand something and you become comfortable doing it, it gets outdated. So whatever was a kind of a trend, whatever was something that was unknown, slowly becomes part of your work. You have to know it, you have to learn it. There is no other go, because survival becomes very, very difficult. So what is VUCA? The VUCA world is affecting society. It's affecting industries, IT industry, automobile industry, right? Education sector, hospitality sector, tourism sector. It affects every industry. When every industry gets affected, organizations in those industries also automatically get affected. Because unless and until you understand these changes, unless and until you understand how this is going to affect your company, you cannot run your business, right? And then if it affects organizations, then automatically it affects our jobs. Our jobs will change. Jobs that were right now there will become outdated, because companies think it is no more of use. So they remove those jobs. New jobs will be created. Organization structures will undergo a change. Products and services that you are making will have to undergo a change. Simple example, COVID-19, brought in all these hotels and restaurants whose business format is to have customers to come to the hotel and restaurant and enjoy their meal, have their meal, eat and enjoy the ambience of that particular place. COVID-19 created a situation where all of these hotels and restaurants had to become takeaways. I mean, had to be only, centers which could only deliver parcels. They could not invite customers. They could not have and give them the same kind of ambience and that experience that they wanted to give. So formats completely changed. Companies that were waiting for customers to come and take things from their shop decided to dunzo, decided to home deliver it because of the uncertainty. I mean, if you say that I'm not going to change my business model, then for the last 1 year, you wouldn't have made any money. You would have lost, you would have had to close down your business. So we have to understand these changes and we have to move a little faster. So if the world is characterized by VUCA, what can industry, organizations, and employees, what do we do? How do we cope up? Right? VUCA has to be understood. The VUCA has to be understood. We have to create a certain kind of a decision. We need to know how to cope with these aspects. So let us look at how the VUCA is going to influence the industry. What is happening because of the VUCA and because of the transformation, because of Industrial Revolution 4.0, what is happening to the industry and how are organizations changing? First aspect, new products and business models will be developed at lightning speed. Why? Because it is going to be the survival of the fittest. So companies will have to very quickly understand what our customers need, preferences, and wants. And very quickly, you have to develop new products and services. And the faster you're able to make, the faster you're able to deliver, you will get that first mover advantage. So companies today are trying to create such kind of models where they will be able to come out with products and services very quickly. Second aspect, what is happening? Industry and organizations today, are creating social bubbles. What are social bubbles? Social bubbles are created where project teams are created in various organizations. Special purpose vehicles are created in organizations. New product development teams are created in organizations. So it's not a whole organization going ahead and doing one thing. It is various multiple social bubbles within the organization or projects that are creating different kind of deliverables to customers in terms of products and services. And this is happening by collaboration. This is happening by joining hands with other organizations. It's happening through joint ventures. It's happening through cross domain, people in cross domains coming and working and trying to see how they can create a solution. Third, gone are the days of mass production, that you made one product for all, one size fits all. It's not happening anymore because people's affordability has increased. People are today far more educated. People today have access to information. They are able to evaluate products and services across. So they know what exactly they want. So there is a very high degree of customization and personalization that is taking place. So if your company has to survive today, right, you have to understand the need, want, desire of your customer. And then you should be able to make something exclusively for them. You cannot tell them that this is the product that we made, and if you want to buy it, you buy it. If that is the way it is going to happen, you cannot survive. Customers will go looking for those companies which are able to give them what they exactly want. So very high degree of personalization and customization is taking place, right? These companies today are identifying niches. What is a niche? Niche is a small subset of a larger segmented market. When you look at a whole market, I mean, you cannot say that everybody wants the same product. Within the market, there are people who are dissatisfied. Within the market, those who are buying existing products and services, you're always looking for something different and something better. So companies have to identify, look for new opportunities in these niches, find out small niches or small subsets of the market which needs to be catered to. That's the third effect that's happening. The fourth big effect that we see today is big organizations, big corporations are today breaking into chunks. Why? Because a big corporation is like a big elephant, right? And what happens with a big elephant is a big elephant cannot respond very quickly to challenges and any aspect that requires quick agility or a quick response or be very proactive. So what big corporations today are doing, like how I told you in the previous point, that they're creating social bubbles. They are creating smaller, they're breaking their companies into smaller SBUs or into smaller units. Not exactly an SBU, but into small project teams. And give them all the resources. So it's like a big corporation, which was just one corporation, doing one business. Today you have multiple small companies within a large company. Right? Today we call that as projects, or we call them as new product development teams. So there are different jargons that are used in the organizations. When you have these small units are going ahead and creating. It's like a company within a company. You have a big company, and within that company you have 10 to 20 different small companies which are working on different projects, handling the needs and requirements of different customers and clients, because that is the kind of response that you need. Right. The next aspect is digital platforms. Today, what are industries and companies expected to do? They're supposed to reach out to customers. And today, companies are using all possible ways and means, both technological and non-technological ways by which they are reaching out to customers, because customer has access to everything. And this is a very competitive industry. Whichever industry you take is very competitive. And in the competitive scenario where all companies are trying to be the best, all companies are trying to impress their customers, you have to be ahead. So what the customer is thinking, you should be able to deliver as quickly as possible. So how quickly can you create that cycle of production and consumption is left to you. And that is what is going to give you that competitive advantage. Large employers will fragment to create internal markets and network and encourage workers to come up with. The point that we're looking at is that when more and more companies become micro units, right? When we become micro units, what happens is interdisciplinary skills will be required. Employees will be employees with all kinds of skills, interdisciplinary skills, new knowledge, new kind of experiences will be brought. And these employees can come from any part of the world. And they're going to be employed in those smaller companies within that large company that I spoke about, into those social bubbles. And each of those social bubbles or project teams or that new product development teams are going to work on innovation and technology and come up with something that is going to be the best before anybody else in the industry is going to offer that to you. Large corporations will use their size and influence. In this competition, what happens? So there is a competition, which is something, if you have observed the world of business, you understand. You have a big established organization. You have a Microsoft, you have an Apple, you have Samsung, you have IBM, right? You have Adobe, big companies. On the other hand, you have startups, right? Startups that are started, just with about 2 or 3 people with some innovative ideas, and they come up with new products and services. So today, startups are giving a competition to established business. You see that happening all over. And some of these startups are so dynamic in their business models that they're able to shake up the industry. They're able to destabilize something that was already doing very well and established. So what large corporations today are doing, when they understand that there are these small startups which are doing extremely well, exceptionally well, they acquire them. Let me give you an example. All of us are familiar with WhatsApp, right? So before WhatsApp could become very popular, all of us were chatting on Facebook Messenger and then various other tools. But somewhere the WhatsApp became very, very popular. The moment WhatsApp became very popular and people stopped using other forms, using Facebook and other tools that were available for chatting, because we found that to be a little more tedious, WhatsApp became very popular and we became very comfortable with WhatsApp. What did giant companies like Facebook do? WhatsApp became a competitor to Facebook. What did Facebook do? Facebook eventually acquired WhatsApp. So WhatsApp today is a part of the Facebook family. So that is what is happening. Large companies today are acquiring small startups because you allow the startup to grow, the startup is going to overtake. Infosys one day was a startup when they were started some 30 years ago. They competed with large companies like Putney, IBM, and many other companies that were there, right? But that startup slowly began to grow into a big company. But if a big organization had understood that Infosys has something that is quite different, and this startup can really, give us hard days. So that big, large corporation could have acquired Infosys. And if they had acquired Infosys in their early days, then there wouldn't be a company called Infosys. They wouldn't have competition in future. So that is what large corporations are doing. They're using their size, money, and influence, right, to acquire companies and create a certain consolidation in the industry. Corporations will grow to such a large scale. Some companies will grow so powerful that those companies will be so bigger than some of those nations, and that they can influence. They can have a face-off with companies. Like, for example, how today Amazon is able to dictate terms and conditions to the US. Or like how a micro-blogging site like Twitter is able to stand against the Indian government and say that it does not want to comply to Indian rules, right? So that's how powerful these companies will be. And sometimes, countries and governments sometimes listen to these corporations because that is the kind of scale with which they are operating. So some big, powerful companies will go to an extent to lobby and get what they want. Human effort, automation, analytics, and innovation will come together. So human beings, along with automation and mechanization, analytics, because of the data drove that we have, and innovation. All the combination of the four is going to come together. So those are the new industries and organizations that we are going to work. Human beings are definitely going to be a part of these organizations. But our human efforts will now have to magnify itself along with automation, analytics, and innovation. A combination of all of this in those social bubbles, in those smaller micro companies within corporations, are the ones that will be the game changers. Those are those small micro units that will be able to bring out some innovative products and services into the market. What else is happening? Companies will become very open. They will look for collaborations. right? Why? Because today no company can say that it is big enough, that it can survive, right? If you try to do that, that itself is your path to ruin, right? So those are companies that fail. In this model world, when changes are taking place so rapidly, when the world itself is in a VUCA environment, companies today have to be open. Big companies will have to listen to small companies, right? And if possible, they have to collaborate. Big companies will have to come down and join hands with small companies. They have to collaborate. They have to cooperate. They have to enter into joint ventures. They have to come together and work. Rivals today you can understand, rivals today are coming together and working together. Like the example that we have in the telecom industry. When Jio as a company launched its services, right? Because of the offers and the price and the quality of the service that Jio started offering, all those users of the existing service providers, all of us switched over to Jio because we were getting a different experience. So what did all these companies do? Companies like Airtel, Idea, Vodafone, all of them started joining hands together, right? Creating a consolidation, creating a collaboration. So rivals were coming together. Companies that competed with each other were now collaborating and coming together because they had to face the challenge from a company called Jio. So it's happening in India, it's happening elsewhere as well. Companies, because of climate change, companies will give more emphasis to strong ethics and a climate change based agenda called the green agenda. So that's where we today see green companies, green HR, green marketing, a lot of eco-friendly or environment-friendly initiatives are being taken in organizations. Organizations will place their societal purpose much ahead of their commercial purpose. So which means society comes first, profit making will take center stage. So why this is happening is because, though we talk about corporate social responsibilities, customers today have a lot of choice. You have about 10 or 15 companies from which you can buy goods and services. So you have a choice. And if these 10 companies have been in business or have been in the industry for the last 10 years, it means that they are the finest companies that you can find. So when all of these 10 companies are the finest companies, and all of these 10 companies are giving you the best quality products and services, you can buy from any one of these 10 players. If you say company A is better than company C or company C is better than company E, it is only a matter of your perception. It is only a matter of your subjective perception towards those companies because of some affection that you have or some brand interest that you have. Other than that, all these companies are very, very good because they cannot survive in business otherwise, right? So when all things remains the same, when you cannot make a choice between these 10 companies, customers will start looking for something different. When the brand is the same and the product is the same and the service is the same, you will look for another reason. So you will look for companies that are ethical, companies that have the society in mind, companies that are working for a greater cause. And that's where customers today are making a choice, right? So that is happening in the way customers have changed their perception towards the companies, and companies today have to respond to those kind of changes. On the larger frontier, we are able to see trade barriers are coming down. So more and more, not just companies coming together and collaborating, more and more countries today are joining hands. So there is free trade, right? There are trade blocks that are created. There are more collaborations that are created between the countries. Countries today are inter-investing in each other. So tariff and non-tariff barriers are lowered or are removed. So everybody is reaping the benefits of globalization and liberalization. So more and more countries. So as a company today, you don't have to decide that you want to do business only in India. You can go anywhere in the world. You can buy resources from anywhere in the world. You can hire people from anywhere in the world. You can go and set up your business anywhere in the world because it's as easy as that today. Entrepreneurial companies will compete. What are these entrepreneurial companies? All those startups that we talk about today. All those startups will work in those industries where only larger organizations used to go and work. And that is where today we see an ecosystem for entrepreneurship, where startups today are giving companies like Ola, Uber, Swiggy, Zomato, Dunzo, right, or Practo, so many companies, all of these are startups, or Byju's for that matter, all of these were startups. And all of these startups are giving a run for the money for the larger organizations. So it's a startup culture or a startup ecosystem that we are seeing in the world. Invisible technology, such as artificial intelligence, back office functional domains, automation of tasks, all of this is going to be the order of the day because of Industrial Revolution 4.0. If companies don't adopt to these technologies, that's going to be very difficult for us to survive in the long run, especially in the Industrial Revolution 4.0 kind of a business scenario. But what does all of that do? All of that creates 4 different worlds. So which means if you are a student, you're going to be graduating in some time, and you want to make a choice. You have 4 choices, because companies today are categorized into 4 choices, into 4 categories. So you can make a choice as to which is the company that you want to go and work. The blue company, the blue world. The blue world has corporates. These are large, big, established corporates, right? Companies like Infosys, companies like Tata, companies like Microsoft, companies like Reliance, right? Companies like Goenkas. All these are big corporates, established. They've been in business in the last 40 to 50 years, and they're doing extremely well. They are in multiple businesses. So you can go to any one of these corporate and take up a job. That is one choice, one category of companies. The second category of company, we call this as the red world. Red world is characterized by companies that are very, very highly innovative. So that is where the startups come in. Innovative companies. Companies that are working on out-of-the-box solutions. Companies that are working on something that is considered new to the world. If you feel that you don't want to go to a typical corporate and do a mundane job, just do the same thing over a period of time, a very monotonous kind of a job, you can always join an innovative company. When you join a startup gives you a it gives you an opportunity to display multiple roles, and you can be a part of that innovation and change system as quickly as possible. Second category of companies which are characterized or which go under the which go under the banner of the red world. Third set of companies are the green companies. We call that as the green world. So these companies are companies that care for the environment. More than profits, they give importance to planet. They work on solutions. Their products and services will be eco-friendly. Their products and solutions will use very little resources that cannot be recycled, right? And they will have a green agenda. Everything that they do, they will make sure that it will have a sustainable solution and creates very little or less damage. Like, for example, in the automobile industry, we have those manufacturers who manufacture electric vehicles. Why do they manufacture electric cars or electric two-wheelers? It's because these are companies that believe that we are contributing to the environment because we care for the planet. So, but if you are a person who relates to that sort of a concept, you want to take up a job which has a lot of meaning, that there is a lot of cause associated, then you can go to the green companies. The yellow company is characterized by, wherever we are looking at, when we talk about business, we only talk about profits, we only talk about cutthroat competition, we only talk about being ahead. But there are also companies that have business models that are considered to be people first, production next. So you can go to those companies that are human resource centric, for whom people come first, production, profits, all of that comes later. So what this transformation change is doing today is it's creating 4 business worlds: the blue world, the red world, the green world, the yellow world. When you step out to take a career, make a career, you want to choose an organization, you can choose an organization in any one of these 4 worlds. Right. So what is happening? Because of all of these changes, the VUCA, the cascading effect of the industry and organization, what is happening to your jobs? What is happening to the workforce? What is happening to talent? What is happening to human resources? What sort of jobs are going to be created in future? Right? The first thing, as I told you, one major trend that we saw, that we are seeing is customization and personalization. Making products and services that I exactly want according to my need. First thing. And then I want it very personalized. Right? Like, for example, let me give you an example. Today, when you see a lot of these, modern generation, especially this generation, when they're getting married, right? They are not taking up those services that were earlier offered by those who were arranging and organizing marriages and weddings. Today, they are hiring wedding planners, and they tell them what exactly needs to be done. They're deciding their colors. The couples today, the bride and the bridegroom are deciding the colors. They go with a color. They say if it's purple, then purple is something that you will see throughout the marriage. Right from the costumes that they're wearing, to the flowers that they bring in, to the decorations that they bring in, to the arrangements that they bring in, all of that. Earlier, a photograph at a wedding used to be taken where people come to greet the couples, and then there used to be a photographer who used to take. But today you have wedding shoots. There is something called a pre-wedding shoot. There is something called a post-wedding shoot. And they go to different destinations. It's not just in the place where you're getting married. Simple things like that today have transformed. So today we are spoiled for choice. So very high degree of customization and personalization has come in because people today are demanding. If your customers demand, your companies have to bow down and give what they want. So your jobs will require very high degree of specialization. Because ultimately it is the employee who's got to work for those companies which are going to make those customized and personalized solutions. Second, as I told you, companies today are breaking down, from being that huge elephant, walking a tightrope. Today, they are becoming smaller deers because that model is not working anymore. They're becoming smaller deers because each of these deers can operate very differently. So there are these micro companies within a large corporation. You will be hired for this company, but you will be working on a specific project. It's already happening. You'll be working on a specific project. You will not know what is happening in your company, but you'll know everything about what's happening with your project, with your product development team, with your customers. And that's what is happening. So micro hiring will happen because micro talent is expected. Micro talent will be working on some of these micro companies that are part of the larger organization. Third aspect, a small number of pivotal people with outstanding management skills will command high rewards, which means small number of people, the strategists, the think tank of your organization. So your organization will have 5 to 6 people who are very powerful, and they will be good enough to run the organizations. And they will be the transformers or those change agents for all of these organizations. Right? So people will get employed in these companies, and each of these micro companies will have a micro CEO. The micro CEO is as powerful as the CEO of the company, because it is that micro CEO who's responsible for profits and revenues that he or she is going to bring to the corporation. So you will be hired by any one of these micro CEOs for their projects that they are going to be working on. So like-minded workers. So people who have the passion, people who have similar knowledge, people who have similar ideas will come together. They will gravitate together. Like-mindeds will work together, and they will work on something. They will not work on just the jobs that the company is giving you. Companies today are creating spaces. Companies today are creating platforms where people, if you're a group of 5 individuals working in this organization, and all the 5 of you believe in some idea, and if you go and tell your management that we want to work on something like this, company today gives you a free time. They tell you, okay, for the next 6 months, you don't have to work on this job that I gave you. Work on that new idea that you guys want to develop. I will give you the resources, I will give you the investment, I will give you the money. But at the end of 6 months, I want to see what is that you've come up with. So that is possible. We are creating entrepreneurs within the organization. An employee is no more going to be doing the run-on-the-mill, regular kind of a job. You're going to be entrepreneurs in organizations, and companies today are open to such kind of ideas. Those micro companies or those projects will quickly flourish, will evolve, and slowly become the next product or service that they are going to be evolving. So those micro companies which are working as small projects, when they are able to take the products into the market and becomes a commercial success, the small micro companies will emerge out and become a big company. It is like those hen that has 5 to 6 chicks, correct? What does the mother hen do? The mother hen takes care of these small chicks till the time they become independent. So these micro companies are going to be managed by these large corporations like the mother hen. And once these micro projects, micro companies are able to evolve, they're able to become independent, they can become a company in themselves, then they will be allowed to take out. So it will become another company that we will set up and that will belong to us, but they will work independently. And that is what is going to happen. And that transformation you can see when you very closely look at the changes that are taking place in the industry. So what's happening to talent? You will be required for your knowledge, skill, attitude, ability, experience. And you will be called wherever and whenever you are required. Well, you're going to be like that army guy. You know, in many movies you would have seen. An army guy is holidaying at home and suddenly he receives a call from the commander and says, we have to get ready for battle. We want you to report immediately. Something like that is going to happen because you are going to be recognized for the skills that you have. You will be the specialist, and your companies will reach out to you whenever they require that specialist help to help them to work on their ideas, projects, and products. Top talent, if you are the best, you are going to be what do you say? You're going to be tracked by almost anybody and everybody, because a talent which is an employee, and if that particular employee understands what the business is all about and understands what exactly needs to be done in his or her job and is somebody who delivers, you will be badly in demand. You will be chased by headhunters. You will be chased by several companies, which means there'll be 8 companies which will be behind you, giving you all the possible offers to hire you so that you will say yes to their company and join their company. For that, you have to be exceptionally talented and brilliant. So top talent will be fiercely fought. Employers will begin their search from where? Employers will begin their search from schools and colleges. There is a strategy in the companies, and this is called catch them young. So what companies will do, because they can't wait for you to come into the market where you learn a lot of things that the college teaches you. And then when you come to the industry, what industry and organizations want is very different. So they don't want to waste time. Give you that 3 years to get adjusted to what company wants so that you make that transition from college to corporate. Companies today are going to design syllabus along with your colleges and universities. Colleges and universities will teach what companies want. So syllabi will change according to the needs and requirements of the industry. So they are going to groom you. So the moment you graduate, you have a job immediately. And those companies that have designed the syllabus in collaboration with your college and university will hire you the moment you come. So you're going to be ready to work employees, RTW. The moment you come out of your campus, you have a job right from day one, and you're not going to be spending time getting trained over there to get adjusted, right? You will immediately start working as an employee because you were completely groomed in collaboration with the corporate. So that is the big transformation that we are able to see. That is the reason why you see a big increase in companies coming forward and looking for interns. They want you to go and intern with those companies, take up internships, take up projects, take up live research that you want to do with these companies, because all of that is going to teach and train you on what the companies expect. And if you are an exceptional student, then you definitely have a job that is waiting for you in these companies. So employees at all levels will take an active role in their career development. So what is happening? It's not just the companies that are going to be fighting hard to get you because you are the best. If you are the best, you are going to make those choices. You will say, yes, I want to work for the blue company, or I want to work for the red company, or I want to work for the green company, or I want to work for the yellow company. So you must become aware of your skills. You must become aware of your capacity. You must know your potential. You must know what you are very good at. So that when you position yourself in the job market, you are going to position yourself as, like how a product says, I'm the best and nobody else is the best. That's the way you've got to position yourself. So for which you got to start working on it to make so that you become the best saleable product in the job market when companies are looking to hire. Societies will divide themselves into those who want to take up a corporate career will take up, those who want to do things on their own, get into entrepreneurship and start a business of their own, they can do that. People who want to just do freelancing work, they want to be a part of the gig economy. They don't want to get hired fully by a company. They just want to do things, do jobs for multiple companies, and they want to do jobs whenever they think they feel the company needs them. So such kind of flexible working environments are available today. We call it as a gig economy. So you can be a part of the gig economy. So exceptionally talented people do this, right? So that those are big transformations that we are seeing. As I said, workers will get attracted to companies. There will be 8 companies that will be trying to get you, but you will make a choice of the company that you want to work for, right? So you should be aware of these companies, and that's where you are going to be the ultimate decision maker of your life, of the career and the decisions that you are going to take. So incentives, packages, salaries, all of that is going to be mind-boggling. Just the other day, there were two twins studying in a particular college. They both were given a package. Their pay package was 50 lakhs per annum. Can you believe that amount of money? 50 lakhs is the salary that you take. Is the annual salary that you take. So companies today do not have the dearth of money. They are willing to pay anything provided you are the best talent that they are looking for, and they're willing to retain you. Whatever you want, they are willing to accept, agree, and give you, provided you deliver and be the best guy that we're looking for. And companies, workers will be expected to reflect the values. So which means what is expected? Just the vision and the mission of your company. Companies expect this. They are willing to give you everything that you want, provided they also want that commitment from you. They want you to believe in their vision. They want you to believe in their mission. So what is your personal aspiration? Your personal aspiration has to get integrated with the organization's vision. So only then can you create a commitment, and we call that as an organizational pledge, because trust, commitment, and loyalty is taking a beating today in organizations, because employees no more are loyal. Companies also use techniques of hire and fire. So there is absolutely nothing that nobody wants to continue relationships for a long term, right? So these are several changes that we are able to see. Travel will become tightly controlled because companies will look at cost monitoring. And today in the COVID-19 scenario, where we are looking at travel restrictions, we are looking at social distancing, all of that is going to be the order of the day. We today will not have to physically travel to get things done, right? So the last aspect is the idea of the job for life. Going and joining an organization and retiring only when you are at the age of 60. That is not going to happen. You are not going to be working in one organization like how many of our parents were working. Today, you will see people with just 5 years of experience. They say, I've been working for the last 5 years. And how many companies have you worked? That person can tell you that they worked for 8 companies in the last 5 years. So that is going to be there because choices are there. And you are looking for the best company and the best job experience that you want. So wherever any company is going to respect you, reward you for the talent that you have, you want to give that talent of yours to only those kind of companies. So that's how enormously this change is taking place, and it's affecting almost every walk of life that we're looking for, including those career-based decisions that we have to be making. Individuals will come together to collaborate. As I said, collaboration, communication is going to be a great thing. So different individuals will come together, work on ideas. So they will try to take it to the next level. And what's going to happen is we're going to create guilds. Guilds are specialists, right? And they will be specialists in respective fields. So every time my project requires a specialist, I'm going to go to that guild. That guild will have a group of workers I'm going to hire. That is exactly what's happening in the gig economy. Today, if I want coders, I only get coders. I don't have to hire a coder for full time. I only hire a coder for only a particular period of time that I want. If I want an automobile engineer, I'm going to use that automobile engineer only when I require. I'm not going to hire that automobile engineer full time if I'm unable to give that automobile engineer a full time job. So part-time jobs, turnkey jobs, and looking for specialists, people who can just do one particular aspect, but they're very good and best at it. So we're going to be hiring people in those kind of scenarios, right? So what is happening? With that VUCA change and with all of that Industrial Revolution 4.0 is bringing, and all of those massive changes, COVID-19 has added another dimension into that transformative narrative that has been taking place over the last 10 to 15 years. So what has COVID-19 done? COVID-19 has replaced our traditional jobs. Our jobs are no more 9 to 5. The work from home concept has come in. Today, people, because of COVID-19, were forcibly made to realize that you don't have to go to your workplaces and do your work, right? So you can do your work, but you can do your work remotely. People can work in multiple centers individually. They can work from their homes, but still the output can get collaborated, and things have gone on, right? This is a beautiful experience. We're all sitting in the comfort of our homes, and today we are all integrated through technology, and we are having a certain interaction here. Secondly, job crafting becomes a norm. What is job crafting? Job crafting is a specialization of your job. You're not going to be jack of all trades. You will be a specialist in one aspect, right? Like, for example, when you say I'm a computer engineer, right? If you're a computer engineer, you don't have to know everything about computer engineering. If you say I'm a computer engineer, I'm very good when it comes to robotics. So if you are a specialist in robotic technology, then you are going to be hired for that. If you say I'm an AI expert, then you have to be that AI expert. So people will hire you, right? Any company that requires AI support and help will come to you because you are that AI expert. So you got to identify what is that micro skill that you want to develop and create that into something that you want to offer. Third aspect, COVID-19 has brought in enormous personalization and customization, which was already a trend that was working, but COVID-19 has only accelerated it. It's only increased the speed of people wanting something very specific, something what I require, something that is very unique, something that's very different that nobody else has. So that has necessitated a certain kind of a scenario. Then comes acceleration to digitalization. So cloud computing, Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, working on Bluetooth technology have all become a part of our jobs. Our jobs today are connected digitally. Our jobs today have technology playing a very important role. So if we are technologically not very competent, then we find very difficult to work in our jobs. So if you're not sound in technology, it's high time that you start learning about all of these trends and trying to see how you can update yourself and make yourself more comfortable in these technologies. Automation is increasing commonplace, and you understand, if we have to be remotely working in our places, and if we have to continue to do the same job that we were expected to do in our factories and in our offices, it's possible only through automation. That is how today companies are no more 9 to 5. They're 24/7, bar 365. We work round the clock. Why? Because jobs are not just offline in those offices. Jobs today are integrated on technology. So you can log on to your office and your office work at any point of time, any place. The next transformation that we'll see is you will see a digital robo. Like how you have a physical personality of yourself, your organizations will create your digital twin, and that digital twin is going to be your artificial intelligence expert. At times when you are so monotonous and non-monotonous work, all the routine work that you do, your digital twin will do. And whenever your twin cannot make decisions on its own, you will intervene. So all the monotonous routine work, your twin will do. I mean, your digital person will do it. And wherever the digital person cannot do, it has to apply its mind and brain and make decisions. That is where you will intervene, because your robo will escalate it to you and ask you to do those kind of works. Like what, very similar to what you watched in that movie called Robo. Like you had your superstar as a physical entity, and he creates a robo called Chitty. Chitty becomes the digital twin. Digital twin was supposed to do a couple of routine things, and wherever the digital twin cannot apply its mind, the physical individual will have to take up and do it. So same aspect is what's going to become popular in organizations. Your wellness is optimized. What is your wellness? So one aspect that we're going to look at in all of this transformation, one big question that you can ask is, what is going to happen to human beings? Human beings cannot be expected to work like machines. So what is going to happen to your health? What is going to happen to your physical and mental wellness? So there are these sensors that are going to be there. So Gen-X sensors that are going to be part of your devices, that are going to be part of your organization. Let's say, for example, my computer, if I work on my computer for 3 hours continuously, my computer will have a wellness sensor which will detect that I've been overusing the computer, that I've been straining, looking at my screen for the last 3 years. And automatically it will shut down, or it will give me a signal and ask me to take a break. It will not work. If I still want to continue to work, it will not work. Right? Such kind of devices will be created. Such kind of organizational sensors will be there. That's what IoT also does. Like, for example, if I'm sitting in this particular place and I realize that it's a little sultry, right? The nearest fan that is there will help me, will give me that necessary change in atmosphere. So that is going to happen. The next trend, along with COVID and the VUCA transformation, we will see augmented reality, virtual reality. A lot of work is happening. We will see a lot of exploration, right? Augmented reality and virtual reality and mixed reality, combination of real and the unreal will come together. So that's a big scenario that will emerge in the future, for which we are supposed to get prepared. We are supposed to know all of this and understand that this is what is going to happen. Artificial intelligence is going to make rapid transformation. AI is going to be the order of the day, order of the work, order of almost everything that we do today. And very importantly, no matter what happens, human beings and human skills will be the center of everything. Even if you have 100 robots which can do things, there'll be that one individual who will be considered important, because no 100 robots can do the job of that one human being who can apply his or her mind and make that very important decision. So human skills and human beings will definitely be there. Right, so coming to the most interesting takeaway. Now, why this is very important, why I didn't want to talk to you about graduate preparedness and career lesson, is like going to the climax and not telling you the story. Like, for example, if you start watching a movie in the last half an hour, you will not understand head or tail of it. You will not understand why such kind of a scene is happening, or why this character is behaving this particular manner. Right? That is the reason why it's important for you, so that you begin with the trailer. You begin with the trailer, you begin with the entire movie. So the narrative is for you to understand what has happened in the world of business over the last 100 years. How each of these interesting transformations have created such a big, massive dynamic change, in which we are going to be a part of it. You are just one entity, but you are a part of a lot of things. So what preparedness is expected if you want to be in the driver's seat? If you want to know what am I supposed to do? How am I going to handle it? How am I going to face it? The first important lesson or mantra that you have to learn, you got to be a constant learner. You cannot say right after my graduation, I'm done with everything. I'm not going to look into my books. That is the end of it. I'm not going to study. If you say so, you will go to the second point, which is stagnation and complacency. You will become stagnated. You'll become outdated. So constant learning is the order of the day. As graduates, make sure that you learn not just from classroom, but from every other source that is giving you some information and some knowledge. First thing. Even after you graduate, you are a constant learner. You have to learn, right? You have to learn, you have to unlearn. Something that you learned which is of no use, you will have to unlearn, or something that you learned some years ago which was outdated now has become practical, you have to relearn. You've got to constantly go through the cycle of learning, unlearning, relearning. Along with that, you have to upskill yourself, learn new skills, enhance your skills, and reskill yourself. Go and sharpen your skills so that you are able to use that skill very well. Second important preparedness that you require is talent mobility. Right? If you've heard me very closely in what I said, companies are looking for talent. Right? They're looking for specialists. They want the best person for a limited period of time. So you have to make yourself available as the right person with the right knowledge and with the right skill. If your company is looking for AI in automobiles, you have to be that AI. You cannot say I'm only artificial intelligence expert. I'm not an artificial intelligence automobile expert. So you've got to go into specialization and into micro specialization. If you don't learn, if you don't upskill yourself, if you don't reskill yourself, if you lose track of what is happening in your industry, in the business and in the world, you become stagnant and you become complacent. When you become stagnant and complacent, you become obsolete, you become outdated. When you become outdated, then dustbin is the place where companies will show you. So you will have no job, you will become useless. So just to make sure that you are constantly useful, that you are the talent those 8 companies are going to run behind. So that is the person that you have to become. Third, evolution of leadership. Gone are the days of just looking at executives and managers. Now, every individual is supposed to take up leadership roles and responsibilities because a lot of freedom, a lot of autonomy is going to be given to individuals. So you are going to be the boss of your job. So learn to become good leaders. Don't just behave as good subordinates or as good team players. You have to become good team leaders. Fourth aspect, in all of this narrative that I explained about transformation in companies, one key aspect is innovation, right? Companies are looking for innovative ideas, innovative outlook, innovative skills, innovative products, innovative services, innovative processes, innovative systems. Innovation is possible only if you are able to unleash your creative self. Only if you are able to bring out the creative side in you will you be able to innovate and do anything. And when we talk about creativity and innovation, it is very often not individually. You cannot do it individually, you have to collaborate. You have to take initiatives. You have to meet people who think of the same idea. You have to talk to people who have who share the same viewpoints, who want to work on the same collaboration. Come together, work together, communicate, and then make sure whatever is your idea that is there in your mind becomes a reality for anybody out in the world. So from wellness to happiness. So ultimately, companies are going to be looking at not just wellness, they want you to enjoy your job. Whether you come to the office and you do it, or whether you sit at home and you do it, doesn't matter. You have to be happy, right? Happiness comes only when companies are able to match the job that you are very good at. The knowledge and the skill that you believe in, the knowledge and the skill that you want to use in the job. So companies will look out for those individuals who are looking for a perfect match. So when you're able to find the job that makes you happy, automatically happiness, you will do your job with a lot of happiness without much of force put on you. So you will really be a happy guy and you will be able to do your job at any given point of time. The rise of the super jobs. The rise of the super jobs are those expert jobs, those jobs which are going to help companies to come out with very high degree of specialization, customization, and personalization. So you are going to be that expert in that particular knowledge and skill that companies are looking for. So that super job is what you're going to be offering to do for those companies that are willing to hire you. The next big trend, we're looking at data. In all of this that we do, the whole world is filled with a lot of data. Now, they say the volume of data is much higher than the volume of garbage that is generated in the world. So today, all decisions are going to be data driven. That is why today we hear of analytics playing a very important and a very big role, right? Every aspect of what we do is going to be backed by data. There is going to be a data trail. Companies are going to analyze data. Companies are going to find out what to do with that and make decisions that are data driven or evidence based in that. So that is where we make a lot of predictions. That is where we don't have to wait for somebody to come and tell us what they want. We've gone through their data, so we know what they want, and that's how we are going to create solutions that are highly customized and personalized. The last aspect is you must be willing to work with people from all backgrounds, from all cultures, from all countries, because diversity is going to be the order of the day. We call this as workforce diversity or diversity and inclusiveness. When the world becomes a global village, when you try to cooperate and collaborate, countries, companies, industries, organizations, projects, people, all of them will have to come together and collaborate. If you are unwilling to come and work together, you will never be able to overcome the issues related to diversity. So today companies are able to win because they are able to make diversity a part of their organization culture. And that is something that you have to learn. Right? You cannot always keep looking for your people from my country, people from my culture, people who speak my language, people who look very similar to me. Absolutely not. You should be able to get along, have an open mind, meet new people, learn new ideas, learn new knowledge, learn new experiences, and if possible, collaborate with them and do something that is really good. So what are the skills? If that's the kind of preparedness, what are the skills that you need to look for? These are top 10 skills that companies are looking for. The first aspect is they want you to be a leader, which means leader is not often looking for subordinates and saying that I'm a subordinate and I have a group of people. No, they want you to be a leader in your own right. What does leadership in your own right mean? That you are your own thinker. You are able to make your own decision. You are autonomous, you are independent. Right? You know what you're saying, you know what you're doing, and you are accountable for the decisions that you take and make. At the individual level, it has to begin there, that you become responsible for yourself. You become accountable for yourself. When you show leadership in your life, when you show leadership in your little given responsibility and scope, automatically that leadership quality will extend into every work that you do. You're expected to be very good leaders who speak their mind and walk the talk. Second, flexibility and adaptability. Right? COVID-19 has given us that scenario. The companies that were able to quickly understand that the COVID-19 is just not for a 1 month of the lockdown, it's going to extend. Right? We cannot go on like this, keeping our businesses closed. We have to think. Those companies that were very agile, those companies that were already working on trying to face the challenge of the VUCA environment, those were the companies that were able to very quickly adapt to the new normal. So flexibility and adaptability, not just for companies, but for individuals is also required. When what you learn becomes outdated, how quickly can you learn something new? That is flexibility and adaptability. The third aspect we're looking at is critical thinking. Because innovation comes only when we start critically thinking. We have to look at our problems intensively. We have to look at customer complaints intensively. We need to ask questions. Why is this happening? What is this? How is this? The more you are able to critically apply your mind, the much better will you be able to look at the various alternatives. If you have a problem, you cannot simply keep talking about a problem. You have to intensively disrobe the problem. You have to intensively dissect the problem. The more you are able to intensively and critically take a look at the problem, the more alternatives will appear, the more alternatives will help you to find the right solution that can be a lasting solution. So critically start learning the skill on how to critically think. Fourth aspect, as I said, technology is the order of the day. We cannot be technologically handicapped. We need to know technology. You cannot say, I'm not going to learn this, this is difficult, I'm not going to be using it. None of those things are going to happen. Because when push comes to shove, everybody has to learn this. In the educational sector, all those people who were uncomfortable with computers and internet, when COVID-19 struck, they could not take classes. They had to learn technology. They had to learn on how to operate on Zoom. They had to know how to operate on Microsoft Windows. So you have to be tech savvy. So learn whatever technology is available. And since you all are born in this generation, this is a generation that was born in the lap of technology, right? So you are more comfortable. So learn everything. And today there is open source, open tools, free YouTube lectures, free certifications, so many things. But all that you need to do is just find out what you are very interested in. Learn. Don't wait for your colleges and universities to give you that as a course. Don't go doing something only because it's compulsory. Go and learn out of your passion. Go and learn out of your interest. Read a lot, learn a lot. See what's happening around. See what companies are working on. Prepare yourself for the world outside. Prepare yourself for the future that you will be playing a very important role. Communication and emotional intelligence. This is a very big challenge today. Today we talk about mental health. Mental health is a very big, problem. People today, we only have been looking at physical ailments, people who are physically unwell. But emotional wellness is also a big aspect that companies today are giving a lot of importance to. Every individual needs to work on this. You need to work to be emotionally intelligent. You must be a good communicator, because life will not always take you in the path that you want to go. Things will not happen the way you always wish it to happen. You should be ready for surprises. You should be ready for shocks. So the same way that you embrace surprises is the same way in which you should embrace your shocks. So be ready for both surprises and shocks, and deal with that in equanimity, so that you don't get excited and elated with surprises, and then you get completely depressed and you go down because of shocks. So if you want to maintain that balance, you should be emotionally intelligent to be able to understand what's happening around you, who are the people that you're dealing with, know your own temperament, know how to deal with people, know how to talk to people, know how to listen to people, take ideas, give ideas, cooperate, collaborate. All that are skills, natural skills. These are life skills. The moment you start applying that in your everyday life, automatically it becomes part of the skills that will be expected and required by companies. Creativity and innovation. So please do not ignore creativity and innovation. If you have a hobby, if you have a passion, if you're interested in something, do. Sketch, draw, write, paint, color, do what you want, right? When we talk about creativity and innovation, we're not just looking at creativity and innovation in the organization. You cannot suddenly one day display creativity and innovation in the organization on your job if you haven't done anything creatively and innovatively in your own life. Look at the small things. Look at the small things. Like, for example, if you have a piece of paper, see what you can do with that piece of paper. Try to, apply your mind and try to see what creatively you can do that. If it's your teachers who've given you an assignment, find out how creatively and innovatively you can present that assignment, how creatively and innovatively you can make a PowerPoint presentation, how creatively and innovatively you can come up with to make a very routine activity enjoyable, right? The best thing to do is anything that you feel is very uncomfortable or you feel very bored, you think it's a routine, it's monotonous, apply your creative and innovative mind to see how that mundane and that routine aspect will become more creative. You start enjoying, right? Once you have a happy mind and an open mind, anything and everything that you look up to will always be very interesting and nice. So unleash that creative and innovative side of your own in your everyday life. One fine day when company requires that as a skill and a quality, you will have it with you. Agility is a key requirement, which means we're looking for companies which want to change very fast. Those companies that respond very quickly to customer and clients' issues and problems. This is possible if you become agile. Agile is the degree to which you are able to quickly respond, how proactive you are, how quickly you can take an initiative, how quickly you can jump into the scene and take up a problem. When everybody is talking about a problem, you jump in and say, this is the solution, right? So do not wait for somebody else to do things. You take up the initiative, you should be able to do these things. So, you should develop that skill of agility to be very proactive and to take initiatives and be that first mover, right? And as very strongly emphasized in the preparedness aspect, critical thinking and complex problem solving skills is something that you have to look for, because once you start getting into jobs, you are not going to be tackling comfortable problems with comfortable solutions. You will be expected to tackle uncomfortable problems with comfortable solutions. So you have to create those solutions. So everything that you do will be new. Every day you will have to deal with a new problem, a new kind of a challenge, a new kind of a hurdle and an obstacle. So prepare yourself, work on your creative and your problem solving skills. In your everyday life, you can look for issues and problems that you have where you constantly keep talking and cribbing about it. So those regular grievances is what you should be able to critically evaluate and find out how you can come out of it. Work on that. That will help you. So those are the skills that I wanted to completely encapsulate and say, that's exactly what you should be working for. This is a quote that I often use, in these presentations, especially when I talk to students and young minds, right? PricewaterhouseCoopers, the leader of PwC, says, so what should we tell our children? Right? This parting shot and the statement of his has the summary of everything that I spoke to you over the last 1.5 hours. Right? What should we tell our children? So what is the lesson or takeaway for each one of you? That if you want to stay ahead, you need to focus on your ability to continuously adapt, engage with others in the process, and most importantly, retain your core sense of identity and value. Who you are is very special. You are a distinct individual. You are a distinct personality. Don't go with the trend. Don't go with the wave. Though you're expected to adapt and adjust according to the requirement of others and according to the requirement of the organization, but do not lose your individuality. And for students, it's not about acquiring knowledge. It's not about learning courses. It's not about passing an exam. It's not about grades. In all of that, are you learning something? Right? So the learning element is something that you should always keep in mind. And for the rest of us, all those who are helping us, we should remember that intellectual complacency is not our friend. What is intellectual complacency? That whole point or that attitude that I say that I know everything, that I have all the knowledge, I have all the skill, and I can handle anything that comes. Right? To be overconfident and to express that superiority complex is intellectual complacency. Unless and until we have the attitude of a constant learner, we will never be able to survive. We will never be able to do what is right, and we will never find a place in this kind of a changed VUCA and an industrial revolution kind of a world. So we've got to be constant learners. We have to be open. We have to be, approaching life with a very renewed kind of a passion, and that is what will help us to survive. And that's the skill that all of you should be looking for and preparing yourself for that. So these are the references that I used for my presentation, and that brings me to the end of this topic on graduate preparedness and the skills that COVID lesson skills that each one of you would have to learn so that you make your life much better for yourself and you make this world a much better place for not just for yourself but for everybody in this world. Thank you, and that brings me to the end of the presentation, and I'm open for any question that you have and that you would want me to ask. I mean, you want to ask me, and I could help you answer that.
Students, the forum is open for you can ask any question. You can get clarification from sir.
Right, any questions, anything that you would want to ask?
Sir, I think there is no questions from the
Okay,
student
yeah.
side. So we
If
can
they
move
have
on, sir.
questions later, if they have any questions
Okay.
later also, you can send it to me and I will help them. And you can share this presentation with them so that they can go through it and they can always refer to it. Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Yes,
Over to you.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, over to MC. Sherlyn? Sherlyn? Sherlyn, are you there? Sherlyn?
I think that's fine, ma'am. Yeah, I think we can.
Yeah. So Pratiksha, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Pratiksha, we can carry on.
Yes, ma'am. A warm and grateful afternoon to our most valued chief guest, Professor Stephen Deepak, Reverend Sister Secretary, Reverend Sister Principal, Reverend Sister Vice Principal, heads of various academic bodies, teachers, and my dear friends. Enter his gates with thanksgiving and his courts with praise. Give thanks to him and bless his name. Psalms chapter 100, verses 1. I consider it a privilege to propose the vote of thanks and acknowledge the contributions of those who work tirelessly to make this orientation program a success. I, on behalf of a college and the entire fraternity of this institution, extend my most sincere thanks to the Almighty God for making today's event a resounding success. It is with His blessings and grace we are able to make this event possible. On behalf of the Student Affairs Committee of NIRMALA College for Women, I extend a hearty thanks to our chief guest, Professor Stephen Deepak, who spared time from his busiest schedule to grace the occasion. Today, we had an opportunity to hear your thoughts, and that has surely helped us to keep ourselves spirited. Sir, your thoughts have enlightened our minds and have shown us a new path. I express my gratitude to you, sir, for sharing your words of wisdom with us today. I'm immensely thankful. Thank you, sir. I'm immensely thankful to our secretary, Reverend Sister Dr. Ruby Alangara Mary, Principal, Reverend Sister Dr. M. Helen, Vice Principal, Reverend Sister Dr. Mary Fabiola, for their unwavering support and blessings towards all our endeavors. Their constant motivation and valuable ideas have always paved way for commendable works. Thank you, sisters. I also extend my heartfelt thanks to our Controller of Examination, Reverend Dr. Sister S. Emelda Mary, Dean of Academics, Mrs. J. Folencia Kamal, and IQAC Coordinator, Dr. Pauline Vasanti Joseph, for their enormous support and goodwill towards the Student Affairs Committee and all its activities. A special mention to our respected Dean of Student Affairs, Dr. U. Mary, for being the catalyst in making us give our best. With deep sense of appreciation, I thank you, ma'am, from the bottom of my heart. I'm in short of words to thank all the heads of the departments and teachers for their involvement and support in all students' activities. An event like this cannot happen overnight. It requires planning and a bird's eye for details. We have been fortunate enough to be backed up by very proactive and dedicated teachers of the Student Affairs Committee. I thank them for their guidance and support. I would also like to thank my student friends for their patient listening and rock solid cooperation throughout the program. Thank you so much, friends. Last but not least, on behalf of the entire Student Affairs Committee, I thank everyone who worked for and participated in this event. Thank you. Have a great day ahead.
So thank you, ma'am. Thank you once again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
It's a pleasure
Thank you.
coming again.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, ma'am. So thank you.